Stop squeaking in my chair.
Stop squeaking in my chair, then, baby. Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh, good God. That's some shit that started up. I just see JW Weatherman talking about scam corners in a reply to something. Okay.
I like JW. He's got some curious takes, but he's not afraid to put them out there. You know?
Are you afraid to put them out there?
Well, no, but sometimes when you get like into your real eccentric things, sometimes I'm a little hesitant to just share them blanket on like Facebook or Twitter, you know. Just because you know how everything rolls together, and you gotta kind of some things you want to not necessarily be attached to for job purposes and whatnot.
Ben, you don't even have a job.
I will, you know. I do have sort of side job.
All right, so I'm gonna start this here. Like all this talking we're doing here, I'm finally getting like the watch party set up.
Man, it said it was live on Facebook, so I stopped cussing.
It doesn't stop me, so I mean, there's that.
Like I said, I can't do it.
You're better than I am. What are you? Are you better than me? Are you better than me? Is that what we're going with this? Huh?
It depends on what.
All right. Anyways. Okay, I think we're good. I'm just trying to get the windows all appropriately spaced here.
Hey man, there's seven people in that watch party watching nothing happen.
I guess. She's just gonna dance. Okay, that works. All right. Well, so this is welcome everyone to episode 43 of Free Markets Green Earth. As always, I'm Nicky P here with Ben the Liberty Hippie.
What's up? How you doing?
It's a good question. I'm doing fine. Today we actually have a guest on the show. We have Miss Erica Payne, or however she wants to formalize that. Do you use all of your names, or is that just your Facebook page?
That's just my Facebook page.
Okay.
Erica Payne works, or just Erica.
All right, and we'll give a little disclaimer that she's one of those hardcore types, even more so than me and Ben. So if you're not up for some thinking, this may not be the episode for you, but you're all up for thinking, right?
Rub the brain cells together.
Tim Finnegan's already sending me gifts, so we're I guess rolling along. Erica is actually here to talk. I saw her a week or two ago on Jeremiah Harding's show talking about zero waste, and it's something that's kind of always interested in me because I mean I think it should be a goal for anyone. Like if you care about the economy at all, or care about a number of things, or if you're a hippie like we are, you kind of want to not use stuff. You want to not be wasteful. And I think sometimes the idea of quote unquote zero waste just seems incredibly daunting. And so I kind of wanted to hear from the perspective of someone who's kind of chasing down that vision, a way to kind of maybe make it seem less unreasonable, or maybe it is completely unreasonable. I just like to see if more people can find their way even a little bit closer to that. That's at least something. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about like what the hell zero waste even is?
Okay, well, it's an earth-friendly philosophy that is set out to eliminate waste, mainly plastic waste, and damage to the earth. So for me, I don't really like basically that's it. Yeah, like a philosophy to help cut down on all types of waste, including plastic, financial. That's pretty much the heavy hitters.
So when we're talking about waste, and I know you mentioned plastic and stuff. So are we talking about things that, you know, can't necessarily be recycled? Are we talking about things that can't be, you know, aren't biodegradable?
Things that aren't biodegradable. So single-use plastics, well, pretty much all plastic, but the main goal is to get rid of the disposable plastic that isn't recyclable. And even recycling isn't the answer, because only 9% of what is sent to recycling centers is actually recycled. The rest is sent to landfill anyway.
That was
What?
that was how many episodes ago?
Yes. Yeah. What you think gets recycled doesn't get recycled.
Yeah.
And when it
I mean,
did,
you can send it there, but it doesn't, you know, you can't guarantee.
Might
You
as
could
well
set the-
save the trip and just send it to the landfill straight away.
or just, you know, drop it off in China the next time you're there, like it was going to happen to it anyways.
Right. I would rather use a reusable option and yeah, save some money, save some time, energy,
Right on.
that sort of
Right
thing.
on.
Now, what are like, so for me, like, say I'm someone, I'm a family man. I've got a kid, I've got a wife. We've got the pretty standard suburban life, and you know, I'm not ready to dive full on in and wear burlap for everything, and
It's called linen.
and to skate and to you know, skateboard everywhere I gotta go because work's a couple miles down the street. What are the things that you think are easy ways for people to kind of nudge their way into that kind of lifestyle? Because like I said, I think the bigger thing a lot of people do is they see any kind of environmentally friendly lifestyle, and it just seems like, yeah, I could never be that person, so I'm never going to take that first step. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with the environmental thing is because everything just seems so daunting. It's like, if I can't change the world today, then why am I even going to bother? I'm just going to continue living life easily.
Well, and the beauty of zero waste is that it's one item at a time. Like, it's one item at a time, and then eventually you make a huge impact. So you start with your what you drink your water out of. You carry water with you every day to your job. So you start with that. You start, instead of buying a disposable bottle, you get a reusable one. And then you look at what you carry for lunch. Are you eating out? Are you, you know, like, you have to look at what waste you're consuming on a one item at a time scale. And then eventually you make that big impact. It's very digestible pieces to obtain a larger goal. So it seems daunting, because I think the name is the worst part. Like, zero waste, it sounds like, oh, what are we about to do? Are we, you know, we're getting rid of toilet paper? Like, what's going on? But it's really not that bad. It's one item at a time. Look at what your daily routine is. And like most people, it starts with what they carry their water in, or what they carry their lunch in, or food waste. Cutting down on food waste is a big one. Using every bit of the food that you're buying so that you're not wasting any, you're not committing financial waste, you know. There's a lot of, it seems daunting. Start with your water.
Honestly, like we did it for a little while. We tried to really limit the amount of waste we had when we were up in Vermont, and that was one of the things, you know, just like spaghetti sauce comes in a glass jar, and it's totally reusable, and it totally works for you know, carrying your water around in. And that's, I've honestly, I've had the same jar for like almost a decade now.
That's awesome.
Like, no joke. I've broken other ones along the way, but this one particular one, I still have it. It's kind of disturbing, but
that's awesome. I think that's cool. You can wash it. You can boil it. You can like wash it and then boil it. And like, if you're into that, I don't really boil glass, but you can.
No, it's fascinating what's out there, and what, like, when you actually stop and think about just the little things that you do, that you use, and where how much of it all adds up to at the end of the day. It's fascinating to do.
Now, does the the philosophy itself, does it center entirely around food and that thing, or is it kind of the ideally it branches out into other aspects of your life, like where we're no longer allowed to have DVD players and computers and things like that? Because I'm gonna be that's always the impasse I get to. The minute you tell me that I don't get to have a smartphone,
Oh no, you
that's an
can.
impasse. That's an impasse where we're not getting around, folks. I'm sorry.
No, and if you choose to make your digital tech life zero waste, the best way to go about that would be to purchase items secondhand. I mean, like a lot of people don't do that. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of people don't go zero waste with their like computers, their phones, their mics, whatever. You know, and you don't have to, but
if you could be a saint, be a saint, but
yeah, you would be like perf in the zero waste world, but most people don't. Like you can, but that is an option though. That would be zeroing out. If you bought it completely secondhand, that would be zeroing out the waste produced because you didn't create a demand for more things to be made. But you know, if you don't, I don't blame you. So
yeah, internet porn would just suck on an old flip phone. I remember how that used to be. It was not fun. Like,
right.
It's just hard to work.
Yeah.
So we I'm curious, are there any, like, we're trying to shortcut people to this, are there any good resources or like websites or books or things that you recommend people would check out to kind of give like a broad-based thing?
Well, YouTube has been my greatest ally, honestly. And there's books you can read. There's I actually have a list of references here.
Are they going to be sweet old ladies, or are they going to be like 19-year-old Instagram models like telling me how to live this lifestyle, and then I find out that they're not vegan, they're meat eaters, and they've been lying about it for 5 years, but they couldn't give up the brand? And
no, it's mostly
dirty hippies.
Mostly like late 20s to early 40s. Like That's for the most part what I've seen.
Goddamn millennials.
Right. So, and I'm one of them. So, you know, but so YouTube has been that's where I came to zero waste. That's what I use for zero waste. And you have to use your discretion because some zero waste YouTubers will push things like legislation. And I'm like adamantly against legislation, like green legislation. Not about it.
Well, it never does what it's supposed to. So,
yeah. So, one of them was Laura Singer's Trash is for Tossers. That's where I started. And also a TED Talk called Zero Waste Challenge by Eric Van Cuyk. I still never figured out how to pronounce that. Cuyk. But it's called Zero Waste Challenge TED Talk. It's so good. It's really good. And that's how I came in to think about waste in a financial route. Like thinking about the financial waste you commit when you purchase disposable items. So
what do you mean by that?
Okay, so like let's pretend this is a water bottle. You bought this from Circle K or something and you spent $2. So you drink the water out of it.
Okay.
And then you have this bottle left. And you're going to throw this away. But you spent money on it. So you're throwing your money away by throwing this bottle away.
All right. So you're talking about the cost of the packaging, essentially.
The packaging. Yeah, you're paying for the packaging that you're about to throw away. So it's like you could have invested that money in a more sustainable option. And it's like a wiser investment to me. And that that TED Talk really explained that to me. And I thought it was awesome. And it's true. Like you're throwing your money away when you throw away disposable items, and you could put that money towards something that could last you a lifetime, and you could pass it down to your children, you know, if you're into that. I am. So
yeah. It's curious because I think there's a couple of points there. You know, like when we were up in Vermont, you know, because when you look at food and the amount of waste that goes into the packaging surrounding food. I could buy bulk, but the bulk was more expensive than the prepackaged stuff. So it's kind of this trade-off. Like, I'm going to pay a little bit more for it, but at the end of the day, okay, I get to use my own container. I guess that's worth it for me. I don't know. But it is, you look at these, you look at the packaging that comes on like anything and everything, whether it's a pill bottle or a CD-ROM or whatever it is. Like, a lot of that stuff is regulated, right? Like, you have to have like the plastic wrap that goes around the top of a vacuum sealed can of pickles or something, right? Like, you have to have a lot of that stuff on there. And just kind of curious, because really, I mean,
Ben, why are you buying pickles?
Pickles are delicious.
Well, it was all I could think about. What else do you vacuum seal?
They're easy
I
enough
don't
to
buy
make.
pickles. I don't buy pickles. It was just all I could think of. It was, I'm thinking vacuum sealed pickles.
There's only one brand that makes the good half sours anyways, and they're expensive as hell.
I've make my pickles.
I said we only buy Bubbies. That's all we buy now.
Bubbies.
Like,
do that at home, man. That lacto
we do sometimes.
fermented,
I think we do our own lacto fermented cabbage and stuff like that, making
nice.
sauerkraut.
That's awesome.
Well, and so that kind of brings me to some of the questions that I have are, the gray. I guess would think of it as it possibly being gray area, but so like, do we consider it waste when we take like the scraps from our food or when we use them for composting, or is that part of, because we're keeping it as part of the natural life cycle of the food? Is that something that falls under zero waste?
Yeah.
And then
definitely that zeroes out the equation for me. Like, if you're like I explained in my blog post, like, zeroing out is when there's no waste. And in my opinion, you're adding to your compost isn't waste. It's like a valuable product.
It's just changing the output of what that is.
Right.
Well, so then, and this is where I start thinking, well, let's have our cake and eat it too. So we've got these electronics devices, or we have, the plastics that go into things. There is technology out there where you can actually reconstitute plastics back into oil. The technology is early, and I'm pretty sure they're working their asses off to bury it. But say we manage to kind of create a reasonable way to do that. Is that something where we can kind of in the future, maybe like we don't have to, even in like a pure sense of the zero waste word, we can kind of look at our electronics differently? Or is that something where I'm just trying to be too optimistic about what we can do with the moniker?
I don't know. To me, it depends. I would have to look into it. This is the first time I've heard of that, but I'd have to look into that. And would there be a demand for new things to be made from the oil that you can turn it back into? So it just depends. I'll have to look into it, and because this is the first I've heard of it.
Well, if nothing else, I mean, all that oil could be turned into electricity and be used in that case. Is electricity something that like we're trying to limit? I mean, even if you're using all of your electricity, is that something that falls under the category?
To me, it does. Any sort of utilities are a resource that I try to be conservative with, and that's also encouraged by zero waste, electricity, water.
Did you hear that, Ben? She says she's trying to be conservative, and she's got that big anarchy sign behind her.
Yeah,
she's trying to fool here.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, but that spot where there's no hair on Ben's head, that's just because he's got a big anarchy sign right there.
Like a couple of them.
Like the tufts of his hair, like form a natural anarchy sign.
It's kind of like a A. No, it's just missing. So see, because I guess it's not totally. I'm just thinking about like that green dragon thing, where or an incineration plant, right? Where your trash is then used to create energy. I guess it's not totally zero waste, right? Because there are some pollutants coming out of that, whether it's a little bit of air pollution or the coal ash that's left.
So we're
You
gonna turn
know,
this into another chance to tell people to go watch that movie.
no, I was not. You can. I was not. I'm just trying to think, like, with zero waste.
Since Erica didn't watch that show, we watched this great documentary. Ben felt it was less great, but that's fine. But one of the things, there's actually a guy who's running what's called the Green Power Plant out in Montana, and essentially he burns trash like in a superheated incinerator, and instead of like outputting the carbon into the air, it actually reconstitutes it, turns it into biochar, which it then uses to grow algae and other things. Yeah.
And the electricity goes out. What do you say?
Yeah,
Like 100 homes, 400 homes,
Yeah, what he
some
said,
nonsense like that.
he said it puts out like the byproduct of this process is enough electricity to power about 100 homes.
Wow. That's
And
like hella zero waste.
The first one burned down magically.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh no!
And
No.
I'm not suggesting foul play. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
I mean, you. It's not like he came up with a technology that would literally revolutionize how everything in the world works.
Yeah, that's literally contributing to the circular economy. Like, how are you just going to burn that down?
Well, and the thing is, so that biochar is actually used as a fertilizer, like a crazy fertilizer to rejuvenate
really well.
soil. So, like, the biochar makes your soil better while putting out electricity is the idea behind this.
Wow.
And then mysteriously, a fire in the middle of a building that's full of water burned it to the ground. And the thing that actually burns, well, according to the people in the movie, they're not saying it's the feds, but
but I mean, you know who
I'm
I'm
not saying it is, but
who has incentive here? I'm just saying.
We know who I think it was.
Yeah, I'm I'm a conspiracy nut, so obviously, I think it is. But that's the thing. Like, it was a cool story because the dude was like, he worked in what was it, AI for video games.
Yeah.
And then he just said, I don't want to go work for LucasArts in the city. I kind of like Montana. So what can I do out here? And he's like, oh, cool. I'm just going to completely reinvent how we generate soil and electricity.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's impressive.
It's pretty crazy is what it is. Totally go watch that documentary. But that's the thing. Like, from us, one of the things I always like to focus on is the ways in which technology can kind of change. I like to look forward to ways in which we can hit the goals that we want through human ingenuity, as opposed to assuming that the only solutions that we have are to, go back to the caveman days, or let's live like pioneers.
Right.
Human beings,
anti-human.
Human beings are really good at making waste, but we've also been really good at finding ways to deal with it and ways to take care of it.
Use it when you're in a bind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if there's like I said, there's ways. Plastic, you burn it, it's carbon. Like, you can use that to create electricity, and especially if you find a way to reconstitute the carbon from keeping it going in the air. The problem, carbon in the air is a problem because it's in the air. But if you find a way to capture it and put it back in your soil or put it back other places, like, that's just adding to the carbon that was already there. Like, that's where it was to begin with. So you just want to get it back there quicker. Is that something? I'm assuming that you kind of have groups that you talk to people about this, and are these ideas that, like, they talk about at all, or is it just for like this horrible capitalists like me and Ben sit and dream about?
No, definitely. It operates on many levels. So like the individual and corporations can adopt a zero waste model, and that's also to hit on the point where you had said that not everybody wants to go back to the caveman days. Like, that's true. Like, so there's the zero waste type of person where, like, I'm more of a like go back to the caveman days, sort of zero waste person. But I follow another zero waste chick on YouTube who likes to look for companies and like companies that are creating zero waste products, and she advertises for them on YouTube. And I think that's awesome. Like, while I don't buy that stuff necessarily, unless I absolutely have to, I think it's awesome that she's promoting it and is using that stuff.
Well, and even if it's just kind of like a stopgap, because I think people overlook. I'm going to be talking to some Bitcoin guys about this in the next couple of weeks, because for me, it's, unless you're talking about transitional periods, it's very difficult for people, especially like I said, I'm a parent and I got a wife and a kid. Is it fair to me to take away my daughter's ability to kind of live in the modern world because daddy's got to bug up his ass about wanting to fucking live simply? Like, no, we're going to go live on the farm and you're not going to be able to relate to anyone else in your generation. Deal with it, Missy.
What are you saying, Nick? What are you saying?
Well, and I have a daughter, so there are certain things, like, I don't want to take away her, like you said, the option to mess with technology. I don't want to take that from her. And I use technology. I have a computer that I'm on right now. I have a cell phone. I have a TV, even though I don't watch it. That's for the other people that live with me. But, these items are around, and I'm not going to take that from her. But there are certain things that I can, like, think about, she's a baby right now. She's 6 months. So
I got a 6-year-old who likes Disney a lot.
Right. And so what you can do is, like, I don't use disposable wipes. I don't use disposable wipes. I don't use disposable diapers. I don't use, I don't buy baby food that's packaged in plastic. I don't buy, like, that sort of stuff. There are still things that you can do without, like, if technology is that thing you still want to hold on to, there are other ways that you can do it. And you don't have to just throw the whole philosophy out with the bathwater just because you can't do everything,
Look, no throwing the baby out.
Yeah.
She sounds very nice. Let's keep her around. Just weird the way she jumped the bathwater there. Go on, Ben.
I don't know. Like, I appreciate it, and I it's one of those things that I think it's easy to implement pieces of, to try and implement larger pieces of, and sometimes I have questions, like, you look at reusable bags versus plastic bags, and how much energy goes into creating each one of each, and will I actually get that out of a reusable bag, or what's the trade-off there? I remember, like, because we had cloth diapers for a time, and we keep our water heater relatively low. I think it's probably like 105, 110. It's warm enough. It feels warm.
Sacrilege, Ben.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't want to burn kids, and then I just got used to it. So you keep burning your kids. I'm gonna keep mine safe.
She fucking likes cold water. It drives me nuts. Like, how do you even take a bath in that?
Dude, my kids do. My youngest two do the same thing. They, like, turn the cold water on the bath. I'm like, y'all crazy, man. But like, so that was one of the things. I could not wash a diaper in our washing machine. Like, it did not get hot enough to actually clean it. I had to go to the laundry cleaner and use, like, the piping hot, boiling water. And so always
you could have just boiled your own water.
I tried that one time in, like, the canning thing, and it didn't work great. But, like, there's always these trade-offs, and so I'm kind of,
well, hey, at least the fucking ceiling full of asbestos didn't fall in the washing machine while you were washing your cloth diapers.
Yeah, no,
that's when we moved to disposables, because I didn't have the hundreds of dollars to reinvest in them.
And that's the other thing, right? Like, a lot of these, it's unfortunate, that a lot of these reusable or less wasteful products cost a whole lot more.
You can initially.
Yeah, with diapers and stuff, you can find them on the internet pretty easily now.
Yeah, you can get them secondhand, but I mean, it just depends on where you're at. Because there's, like, I used to live in Georgia, and there's, like, no secondhand market for cloth diapers. People are like, what the hell is that? I'm like,
I don't need another napkin. Hell, I don't even use the first napkin. Yeah.
No, it just depends. You got to do, like I talked about on Jeremiah's podcast or on his show, like you have to do a cost benefit analysis and see what's going to be worth it to you to cut down on. And for me, cloth diapers work out, and it may not for you, but maybe something that doesn't work out for me may work for you. So we're just cutting down where we can. And I think that's where people get tripped out about the name zero waste is like, you see people like Laura Singer, she gets down to like a tiny little jar worth of trash in like 4 years of her life. Like that's all she's got left.
I'm gonna call BS on that, but
it's pretty wild. And I've gotten pretty low, but I wasn't a mom yet. And I don't know how much I don't know how much of it was a factor, like not being a mom, but
it's a ton. It's huge.
I look at it the same way. It's like, it's way easier to go and protest that thing that you want to protest when I don't have to worry about CPS coming and stealing my child. So,
right. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
CPS is a big one. I've gotten threats for CPS, not from them, but people calling CPS on me because of the zero waste practices I use with my daughter, because people don't understand.
I mean, we homeschool our daughter, and people freak out about that. God knows, like, if, I told Liz, like, we're in the backyard, like, don't get more than 6 feet close. I don't need any Karens in our neighborhood calling the cops on us. Like, I love you, baby, but it ain't worth it.
Not outside tonight.
We can all snuggle when we're back in the house. It's fine. So I'm curious if there's things that you thought would be more difficult going into transitioning that you found weren't as bad as you thought they were, and kind of on the other end, things that you didn't think would be all that bad that were way tougher than you imagined they'd be.
Well, on the note of cloth diapers, I thought that was going to be way harder than it ended up being for me. I thought that was going to be like, I watched YouTube videos about it, and I've heard stories. And then like, I thought, so I hear war stories from people that have tried it. It didn't work. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to do this. And it's going to be awful. And I'll have invested all this money. And I ended up only spending $152 on the cloth diapers that I use. And like that has carried me up until the 6-month point. And then I started to realize, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And, the washing them for me has worked out. I'm very fortunate for that. But yeah, I thought that was going to be awful.
You'll actually probably be able to find one of the, you'll probably be able to start trading them pretty soon. Cause like she's going to start whatever. It's going to start getting bigger much quicker. And it's like, you can go on Craigslist and there's people that have new kids that they have like diapers from like older kids. They're too big for. So you can actually find like, hey, we'll trade 12 of like the infant ones for 12 of the bigger kids and that kind of stuff. So there's practices like that thanks to things like Craigslist. God, fucking technology making some things easier,
right? It makes things easier, so it's not all bad. It helps us make more sustainable choices. So
it does.
Is there anything you thought would be more difficult when making that transition?
Well, I thought that was going to be more difficult. I thought that doing without disposable plastic was going to be really hard. Like, not for me to not use it, but for, how do I explain this? Like,
it's in everything.
Yeah, it's in everything. So I was like, okay, how am I going to get around this? Like zero waste grocery shopping. Thought that was going to be freaking horrible because everything is packaged in plastic except your produce section. And so
don't buy it. You can't buy organic. You buy organic, it comes wrapped in plastic to differentiate.
Right. You have to be careful with that too, like where you get your produce, what it's packaged in. And that's right now, that's my milestone is I get very minimal packaging on my produce, but there's still like, I got red leaf lettuce the other day and it's pretty much package free, except it has one of those like wire ties. I don't know how you explain that, but like the ties to
The
keep
bread
it
wrapper with
together.
the
Yeah.
PLU on it.
Yeah, it has that on it. So that's waste. And it's like, you know, you have to find a way to use that. But I mean, it's better than
Hang
buying
in
the
You got
the.
long hair. Just use it as like
Do
a
what?
ponytail holder.
I don't know about all that,
No,
but
you talking like a bread tie?
yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
giant bread tie and it
Dude,
holds all the lettuce leaves together.
I wish I had more of them. I had to go out and buy that wire to hang the mesh that we're putting around our garden in the backyard.
Hey, you just let me know. I will give you a stock of them because I don't know what to do with it. So
Yeah.
I eat a lot of lettuce too. So
You know, and there's things I wonder. It's like I think Liz was making like those little plastic carpets for a while out of our garbage bags and stuff like that.
oh yeah, I've tried that. That's not my forte. It's cool, but I can't do it. So
It's some patience I don't have myself. So I said Liz does it, not me. I think I asked that question backwards. Were there things that you like maybe attempted to do and you're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not ready for it? Kind of gave up on like, give me another year of living this lifestyle. Maybe I'll be prepped mentally for all that.
So far there hasn't been. But I'm sort of like, you know, I'm a few years in, and even still, like I'm met with new ways to cut down waste, but I haven't met anything that was too ridiculous for me so far. Give it time though. Give it time.
How long have
I
you been
might
doing
find
it?
something that's crazy.
How long have you been doing it for?
For about 5 years now.
That's so wild.
4.5, 5 years. Mm-hmm.
And what was the initial impetus for you? Like you just watched a video like that sounds cool. Let's go and get rid of all our shit.
Well, I started with minimalism. Like that's where I started because I just felt so like I had a lot of anxiety. It was pre self-actualization, you know, like I was like really freaking out. I'm like buried in my stuff. I had all this stuff that I didn't use, that I didn't need. And it was causing me anxiety and stress. And so I happened to run into a YouTube video, and then it started that off. So I had gotten to the end of the minimalism road, not the end, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you're discovering something for the first time and then you seek it out to its logical end, and then you have to move on to something else you're interested in, like unschooling yourself. So then I run into a way to be even more minimalist, and that was zero waste. And there's a lot of overlap with minimalism and zero waste.
I had a buddy in college who like his life goal was to get rid of everything he couldn't fit in his Jeep. I just thought that was an admirable goal.
Yeah, everything for a while before I had Piper, everything I owned fit into a suitcase, a carry-on, and my purse. So
nice, travel light.
Damn.
I don't live like that anymore because I have a little girl. And
well,
Yeah.
that same
really
buddy I said, yeah, he now has like a house with a garage and a couple cars, and you know, marriage and a kid. Kind of changed his priorities slightly as well.
And you can still keep that philosophy. Like I have a daughter now, and I keep her wardrobe, her toys, I keep all of her stuff very minimal too. Like not crazy to where she's going without, but I keep it minimal compared to other parents that I know that, you know, buy their kids all these toys that
She's
are
talking about me, Ben. She's talking about me
these...
who can't walk in a gas station without buying a stuffed animal to throw in the giant pile of stuffed animals. Maybe there's something in me that's broken that feels like Irma needs 10,000 stuffed animals, but
oh, that's sweet.
But I tell you, man, this recent like lockdown thing, like my kids, you know, they always do random crap, but like the things that they entertain themselves with now is just, it's mind blowing. Like they have a strap and they like are towing each other around on bicycles, you know, and of course they're going like downhill, so they eat it and, you know, it's no good, but they're trying things, which is really impressive. Like, you know, my it's wild what they can actually do.
we have a cake mix cookbook that Irma just loves to go through.
Oh,
like that's her this morning. She's like, "Hey, Dad, you want to look at the book with me?" And it's just how to make cakes.
oh,
I'm like, sure, honey, I'll look at cakes with you.
Yeah, it's interesting how little you really need in terms of like plastic toys, how little you need. And there's even I watched a video one time of this lady who did not buy her kids toys. They have no toys. They play outside. They're entertained the whole day. Like they play outside. They like entertain each other, and they don't need anything.
Well, my parents, like me, my parents used to tell me to go play in traffic. So like that's just the joke was there was no traffic where we lived, so that just meant go play in the woods.
So, I think back to like when my son was born, and like one of the things, we said, like when people asked us, what we needed or what we wanted, whatever, and his birthday came around, Christmas and stuff like that. Like plastic toys was off the list. It was always like, a wooden toy or something that can be, something. And I think about that now and I wonder, like, is that wooden toy actually any better than this plastic toy that might be recycled, might be burned, might be just, thrown in the pile or what, and what goes into doing that. But at the same time, like when you think about like all the plastic toys and crap you have, like that's the stuff that breaks. That's the stuff that like gets garbaged and tossed away in the first like week of ownership. And it's they seem so normal.
Better they swallow the breakable piece of plastic than the wooden block that's just gonna stay there forever.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You're not getting the block back out. I'll tell you that much.
Well, the plastic shrapnel might hurt more on the way out. The block might just sit and decompose.
Look, they can be in pain and still breathe. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm feeling quite morbid tonight. I'm in a mood, I guess.
The zero waste thing is one of those that like I appreciate it, but I have my hesitations with it.
Ben's thinking retirement. That's what he's gonna do. He's like, I'm gonna need things to do in retirement, and I think those things that I need are gonna be thinking about what I don't want to own.
I'm saving all my dog food bags, and I'm just gonna make like millions of those reusable bags and just sell them to everyone.
Wait, you save your dog food? Are you gonna make like airplane wings like the Wright brothers out of them or something?
No, people, you can, I don't know, there's a way that you can like sew your like dog food bags, like those, the big like 50-pound plastic bags. You can sew those into like reusable grocery bags.
Okay.
I have one.
That makes sense because of the material of it. It feels like the disposable bag, or not disposable, the reusable bags that you can buy at places.
Yeah, they're like almost like the same thing. I have one. A friend gave me one, and I have zero sewing skills. But if I did, maybe when I retire, I'll learn how to sew, and that's what I'll do.
You could get you some sewing skills.
I could. We have a sewing machine out.
Dude, I just saw a handheld sewing machine. Like you click it like a stapler.
What? That sounds cool.
Look, if you guys don't understand how amazing Facebook ads are, like you're living your life wrong. Every
I get boring ads. I get like the most ridiculous.
I know it sucks giving them information by clicking on things, but like every third thing I get on Facebook is a band. Like it's just Facebook knows after 2 years of me training it. By clicking on every band, like I see more bands trying to promote their Facebook music to me than I see political posts, and I'm only friends. I'm only friends with political people, so that's pretty impressive,
right?
Other than that, I see cool shoes and stuff like, hey, indestructible shoes and gadgets and whatnot. And like I said, that's why I found like I saw it was like a handheld stapler sewing machine, and like you keep doing this with it and like going along the edge.
Is it for like wounds?
No, it's for like I think it's for like stuffing in like your bug out bag. It looks like it's probably about 4 inches long, and then it's like you put the spool of thread on like back where your palm would be on it, and it just kind of does the thing. It's impressive to me. Like, I don't know why.
It sounds like something they would sell on Wish that you could get from China.
Yeah. It costs like $5 and you're never ever going to use it.
$2 and you can have this machine that might not work.
$2 and it comes with a prepackaged, batch of the coup. So, all right, Ben, you have any other questions while we're at it?
I don't think so. How much when you measure your trash, how do you measure it? What do you figure out like what you've generated?
Usually just like write it down in my note section if I need to. I mean, for the most part, I don't really need to, but if I'm like, okay, if somebody's going to ask me how much trash I produce in a week, it's not that much, but there is trash to be produced.
What do you do
Usually
with
it's
it?
having to do with like new things. Like if I, like I just bought a blender today. I don't have one, and
Was
I don't
it a
have
Vitamix?
Do what?
Was it a Vitamix?
No, I wish it was not.
You're fucking up. I know they're expensive.
I know,
but they're
they're
so worth
so
it.
expensive. I can't.
And the reason I say it is because like, dude, find a way to finance it because I think we've had our Vitamix for almost 7 or 8 years now. I've never had a blender last more than 3 months.
Oh yeah. Well, they look nice. I've always admired them on people's channels, but I haven't actually tried it myself.
You can literally make soup, and like Liz was using it. Like she was telling me she's used our blender to like take wheat berries and make flour.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
She's like, yeah, I just throw them in there and it turns it into flour. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just used mine to make butternut squash soup like before I came on.
Yeah, that's what I like with the Vitamix. I know, like, I tried like they say, oh, you can make like hot soup with it.
Yeah, they'll heat up your soup. That's what's cool about Vitamix, man. That's awesome. And it like gets it smoother than traditional blenders.
Oh, dude, and I'm no joking. It's not like warm soup. It's fucking hot soup. Like, you leave it in. There's the extra couple minutes, and I don't know if it's like
it heats it up for you.
Yeah,
we're totally standing Vitamix right now.
Oh no, I'm a convert. You want to talk about zero waste? Buy a Vitamix and you'll never need another blender ever again. I think of all the blenders I threw in the trash after 3 months because I burned them up. So
we did that for a while making hummus. I used to burn them up. I got a food processor that does the trick now.
And we're talking like Liz does smoothies sometimes daily for like months at a time. Like it's not like the thing doesn't get used. It just the thing's a rock. It's crazy. And like there are cheaper options because I don't think ours was crazy expensive. Like I think we have just a 2-button one, and it might have been like $400 or $500. Which granted, when you can go and buy a $30 blender at fucking Walmart is crazy. I just remember how often I had to replace that thing.
Right. If your cost benefit analysis allows for it, definitely do it. If I could do that, I would.
Yeah.
I would have me a Vitamix and I would be making smoothies every day and hot soup.
And it's mind-boggling because it gets the soup fucking hot.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I had to put my soup into a pot and then heat it up and then add my other stuff in there.
I'm not sure if it's like because the motor itself gets so hot and it kind of transfers into it, or if it's theoretically it's supposed to just be the friction of the blades that does it.
What if you want like a cold shake or something?
Well, then don't leave it in there for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, with a Vitamix, you only really need 30 seconds, like, and you're good. Like that's the idea. Like you leave it in there a little bit extra, and it heats it up for you after it fucking purees that shit.
All right.
See, she came on. She's talking zero waste, and I'm telling people to buy more shit.
Only use it only buy it if you need it. If you will use it,
absolutely. Yeah. If you have no reason to have a blender, they are an incredible waste of money. If you use a blender, there's no reason to ever buy.
You can buy me a blender.
You'll give it to your kid. I'll say that much. Irma can have our Vitamix when she goes to college or whatever school I send her to. Hopefully not college.
Do you have a vacuum? Or do you use a broom?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just use a broom. I don't have anything to vacuum.
Gotcha. Do you have pets? Do you have dogs?
I don't.
That's a good choice. That's a good life choice.
I used to when I was like a teenager. We had family pets, but I haven't since I moved out.
You tell me that when you're sitting home alone on a Saturday night and you don't have a cat coming to sit on your chest and steal your soul.
I love cats. I just don't have one. I borrow my sister's cat. I will love on my sister's cat and give her back.
I love the people I hang out with because everyone just completely ignores the stealing your soul part.
Yeah, our vacuum died, and we were sweeping for a while. And
Rest in peace, your vacuum.
dogs didn't, dude. The dogs, like, I couldn't sweep. You couldn't sweep it up. You could not get it up. Like, you had to have a vacuum of the dog hair and stuff. It just was one of those things.
What kind of dog do you have?
It's how many?
Oh, you have 17
I
dogs?
have too many freaking. Yeah, we moved down here.
Put them out with the goats, bro.
Yeah, we have some out with the goats, but we moved down here coming from like New England, and it was like my wife's like, "Oh my God, look at these poor dogs on the side of the road. We'll bring them home and we'll give them the Humane Society."
I'm just imagining you guys driving
Not how it
like every
works.
50 miles, like you're throwing a new dog at the.
Dude, no joke. We moved into our house,
literally now a trail of people from fucking Vermont to Georgia
missing their dogs.
All of a sudden, our dog just disappeared. He went out in the field one day and never came back.
Yeah. No, we picked up our first ones when we came down here. I think we moved into our house, and it was like her first or second day to work. She's driving to work, and she's like, "Hey, found these two dogs on the side of the road. I'm gonna bring them home." It's like, no, please don't. 5 minutes later, there she is with the dogs, and they're still with us today. Nah.
Oh well.
That's why we need a law to cut dogs' balls off, though, right?
Jeez, no.
That's actually a really good question there, Ben. It reminds me. So, like within that zero waste community, like I know that there's some people that you say like they're really into legislating us to that place. Is that kind of like a norm, like it is in every other group, or is that what's that community like?
Okay. The bigger, like the people, there are some people that are into legislation, but not in the like anarchist sphere. There's not, like, nobody's pushing for that. But like if you go to YouTube and you talk to the people that are on there, they're pushing for it. And
so I mean, it's just like anything else. You have your subset of anarchists that are interested in it, and you can find those people if you want. But normally, you're just going to have, like in everything else, people trying to legislate their ideas into existence.
There's not a huge. I mean, people, if it's mentioned, then sure. But this even in like the like mainstream people who are into like mainstream zero waste YouTubers, like normal people, let's say that normal people are not holding pitchforks and we need legislation to back zero waste principles. Like if it's brought up, then you'll hear people be like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool, I guess." But it's not something anybody's really passionate about, except for the bigger names.
So there's like not the zero waste Antifa out there,
right? There's no zero waste Antifa. But I still, even still though,
bike lock come in plastic wrap, man.
It's terrible, Ben. It's terrible. Funny, but terrible. So, well, right on. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us about this. Like I said, I really liked your presentation over on Jeremiah's show. That's Jeremiah Speaks, I think, right?
Jeremiah Talks.
Yeah. Jeremiah Talks. He said it has some biblical reference. I gave up on that stuff a long time ago.
Right.
Jeremiah was a prophet, and I imagine he did a whole bunch of talking. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
He probably runs deeper than that, but hey.
Yeah, he kind of made me think there was like some euphemism or something that like it kind of went along with. I don't know.
He's also a bullfrog.
He was a bullfrog. So the song says. Rest in peace, Three Dog Night. But I do really, really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about this. Like I said, I don't know how our audience, is going to take it because I don't really. They're a difficult bunch to kind of get a sense of sometimes. But I thought the content was interesting. I think that I think knowing someone who lives that kind of lifestyle, and more importantly, I think someone who deals with the fact that life happens and maybe we're all not going to be perfect cultists right off the bat, that there's a path that we can all take to make ourselves more like that. That's worthwhile. So
yeah, thank you for having me on. definitely.
Thank you for coming on.
I
Appreciate it.
put in the notes some links. Is there any place you wanna send people to look at verbally or audibly if they don't want to click on it?
Twitter is a good place to start. I post a lot of zero waste content on there. That's twitter.com/theearthnerd. It's TE nerd anarchist. And that's because it would only let me have a certain amount of characters in my username. So
I know we all get creative.
Right. There's that. There's my blog, which the link will be. He'll post the link, and then
the earthnerdanarchist.home.blog.
And yeah. Oh, and you can add me on Facebook. I'm there at Erica Denise Payne. So
right on. Well, like I said, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good evening. Sorry for making you have to do this earlier than you expected.
Oh no, that's my fault. I'm sorry for being late.
I'm like, I bet I talked to her half an hour ago. Like, I don't know, man. Like, she said I assume she'll be here. Like, it seemed like she wasn't gonna bail on us. We actually had a guest that kind of no showed on us a couple weeks ago.
A guest. Oh man.
Ben apparently has it happen more often than that.
No. It was just the type of guest you would think.
I was really excited about that conversation that we never got to have.
Maybe one day when they're El Presidente. Erica, what?
Oh geez.
I'm trying to find you on Twitter right now. As I said, it's terrible pod content, but one more time. Where should we go?
It's twitter.com/T E N ERD and then the rest of anarchy.
I found you. It's like 10 erd anarchist is what it. Okay, I gotcha.
It was the Earth Nerd Anarchist. That's what it was.
I got it. I know, but like it's like
she literally gave us.
I couldn't find it.
About she had to get creative to fit the name in there.
Yeah,
I couldn't find it.
So, all right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
And